Hey guys, my name is Christian. Hopefully you're all doing well. Welcome to my channel. So my analog versus in the box mastering video got quite the traction, so thanks for checking out that video. A few people in the comment section asked me what my in the box mastering chain was, so I thought that I'd go through it here today. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, so stick with it if you find it interesting. And if you like what you hear on the channel, you can of course hire me. I'll leave my email down below, so send me an email and I'm sure we can work something out. So with that said, let's check out the in the box mastering here in Pro Tools. Alright, so first of all, when I master a track, I always of course want to listen to the mix and see what we have to work with. So let's start off by listening to the unmastered track here. When you see the blood leading the blood, and you see the hunger in their eyes, are you scared to tell the truth? What's to lose? Alright, so I think it sounds quite fine. I mean, I mixed it, so it sounds kind of the way that I want it to sound, but there's definitely a few things that I would like to adjust. So I'm using the Isotope Ozone Suite, and if you can afford it, I can definitely recommend it because it contains everything that you need, you know, smart plugins, equalization, limiters and such. So you really don't need to use anything else than this suite. But I mean, if you have something else, FabFilter or stock plugins, most things would do, and there's good alternatives out there. But I'm using Ozone for this master. First of all, I have a EQ because I feel that there's something that I would like to adjust around 600 to 1000 Hertz. There's definitely a build-up in that range, and the low mids can really mask up the entire mix. So I just want to attenuate that frequency spectrum. And then we have a compressor here with very low ratio, 1.2. Quite slow attack time and slow release time. And this is not meant to sound like compression. It just needs to, it's just a way to try to keep things in place. This is the only song on the EP that has a straight, you know, beat throughout the song. This is actually my thumb playing on the guitar, but let's call it the kick. So there's a relation between the kick and the vocals that I really think need some, you know, squeezing to get them to glue together. So let's see what these two plugins does to the master. When you see the blood leading the blood, and you see the hunger in their eyes, are you scared to tell the truth? What's to lose? What's the point of no return? Alright, so the EQ definitely helps unmasking the mix, and the compressor adds some energy, but also, you know, keeps the beat in place and just glues everything together, which I definitely think works for this mix. And then I'm using a plugin called Shaper, and this is basically like the Soothe plugin. So it just uses some algorithms to, you know, analyze the material, and then you set, you know, thresholds, attack times, and the amount. And these plugins are great. I really like and enjoy them, but just keep in mind that keep it subtle. Otherwise, you can end up having some weird artifacts that really masks the frequencies that you attenuate. So use them, but don't overuse them. So let's see what that does to the mix here. When you see the blood leading the blood, and you see the hunger in their eyes. Are you scared to tell the truth? What's to lose? Yeah. Alright, so this track is recorded with the Teenage Engineering CM15, and certain microphones, can get kind of altered in the frequency spectrum when you start to push them. So when I go into my higher range and start to push the microphone, it kind of tends to push that frequency spectrum. So this is just to try to even out the vocals and make the whole mix and master sound a little bit more even. And then I have another EQ. And I really like to work in baby steps than, slamming a compressor or an EQ. So this is the same frequencies as before, 800,000 hertz, and the low mids here around the 500 hertz. And then I also have a high pass filter. I am really not a believer that you need to high pass everything, but if you want super loud mixes or masters, you really need to attenuate the low end, but this is just to clean up the very low end. And then I have a limiter, and I tend to work in steps here as well. So it's great to have one limiter before the final limiter, perhaps catching some peaks, and then the final limiter won't be surprised with some, crazy peaks going on. So it's just a great way to try to work your way to the final mix and master. So let's see what these two does to the mix. When you see the blood leading the blood, and you see the hunger in their eyes, are you scared to tell the truth? What's to lose? Yeah. Alright, so now I'm quite happy how the mix sounds in terms of equalization. And the limiter here is just catching the very peaks. And this, like I said, is just a way to start to even out the dynamics and the peaks of the mix. And then I have another compressor and another instance of the shaper tool here, which is going to attenuate the low end. Low end is quite tricky, you want beefy low end, but you don't want to make it mask, or you don't want it to mask the whole mix. So this is just a way to try to attenuate and even out the low end. And the ratio here is a little bit higher, but the attack and release times are pretty much the same. And this will add some energy and try to glue things together even more. So let's see what these two do to the mix. When you see the blood leading the blood, and you see the hunger in their eyes, are you scared to tell the truth? What's to lose? Yeah. Yes, I think the compressor definitely helps the relation between the kick and the vocals, and now I think they sit precisely where I want it. The vocals should sit on top, but at least in my opinion and on this mix, there's a balance act that needs to pretty much be perfect between those two. The spectral shaper tool here definitely helps the low end just to balance it out the very slightest, just so you don't get any surprises in the low end. Then I have another compressor here, and like I said, this is part of a five song EP, and I don't think that this compressor do much at all. But like I said, work in baby steps, see what works. Sometimes it's better to, bypass the plugin in the end, but try to work with the track and see what happens. And this plugin is something that I added just for the in the box versus hardware comparison, because I use the hardware version of this and it has a stereo width function that I used on the analog master. So I added it. I just did not feel that it would be fair to add a stereo widener plugin and not use it on the in the box mix. So let's see what these two plugins does to the mix. When you see the blood leading the blood, and you see the hunger in their eyes, are you scared to tell the truth? What's to lose? What's the point of no return when all is lost, all preaching? Alright, so the compressor really don't do much at all. But if you have dynamic music, you have, a part here which is a little bit louder than the rest, then I would really suggest to work with that part so it really glues with the rest of the mix. All right, so here we have the final limiter, and what's great with Ozone here is that you can use a smart algorithm to get the required LUFS. You should not trust this, but it's a great starting point. So I'm aimed my mix at -12. I don't want to crush these mixes. I want to keep the dynamics. And the only thing that I can say here is that if you are going up on streaming services, I would use a 1 dB ceiling. If you're doing a CD master, that's usually at 0.2 dBs. But I've heard from friends that are professionals that said that when they are converting the WAV files to MP3 on the streaming services, they benefit from having a higher ceiling. So it's not really something that we can A/B here, but it's a great plugin, and I haven't pushed the mix, so whatever you are using here would probably work quite well. Yeah. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys out there, and if you enjoy this kind of content, like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys around.